Already Tracy, we challenge Black Dusk Loud, Reinforced Locks, No Heavy Armor, and Aegis Academy. Well, there's Reinforced Locks, but then again we've really got just a Thumper, which can very easily just make Reinforced Locks a non-problem because it's not Reinforced Doors, and it just means that we can just, well, Thumper the door. And then afterwards it's no longer a problem. As for, well, As for No Heavy Armor and Aegis Academy, that's, well, quite simple really. It's rather insulting since everyone else has got Aegis Armor and we, well, don't, but that's not really all that great since we might very well get 5 Aegis units on each side, totaling to around 10 during the starting portion only, which on one hand is a lot of damage that we have to do, but on the other hand is, well, just... I see you over there. On the other hand is just a lot of medkits, a lot of ammunition, and plenty of resources, which... No Aegis... Well, actually, Aegis Academy would be quite nice. But then again, it can also be quite bad, especially when combined with something like No Heavy Armor, or for that matter, even no Aegis Armor. But nonetheless, we're just going to take out all of those units. We're going to wait for that to open up over there, and hopefully we won't get all that many more Aegis units, because, well, that's kind of not what we want. Even though we've been pretty lucky on how many Aegis units we've had so far. Even though in some ways it can be, well, considered not lucky, since later on we won't have 200 medkits piling up over there waiting for us, which we would very much want, but unfortunately we can't really get. So for now we're just gonna run through here, and for the most part, well, it is just reinforced locks, and why it isn't really a problem, so we're just gonna do that. Not really all that complicated. Unfortunately, there's no screwdriver over there, which is perfectly fine, since presumably there will be at least 4 medkits piled up over there, so we won't really have to bother, well, about dropping a few down in the basement for grabbing a drill. Hi there, units. Would generally like that a lot more, but unfortunately it's not really all that relevant since we've got, well, Aegis Academy and a lot of ammunition, but we're still gonna grab it, mind you. It's not really useful, but there's not really much else to do right now. And I suppose we could bypass that and breach that, but then again, there might be more units right around now, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid dealing with, so we're just not gonna do that. We'll even open this door that we really don't need to, and then afterwards hop back down over here, and then just wait over here. That's... I'm highly concerned about that breaching over there, but we're just gonna ignore it and hope for the best, because those are obviously gonna be the Aegis units rather than the normal units that are just, well, roaming about. But once that's taken care of, we're just gonna run through here because, well, we don't really want to get shot from behind, so we're just gonna run through here, get that door open over there, and then afterwards push that over there, which should be relatively simple for all intents and purposes. So we're just gonna go over here, we're gonna plant this over here, and then we're gonna go downstairs, and for the most part, hopefully Cyber's going to be actually... well, presumably not doing whatever that was, so sure. I mean, we'll do that. And I suppose what they want us to do is to just go over here, plant this over here, and then say hi to the units over there, which... and apparently over there, which... apparently there's more, which I'm perfectly fine with, but we are going to go downstairs and try and grab ourselves a drill because we would very much want one, so... just going to grab that over there. What I hear here does not make me feel any more encouraged, but then again, going down there seems like a worse choice because there are more units going down over there, so we're just going to not do that. And we're just going to run through here whilst awkwardly getting pushed, which frankly is a good thing since we are very much out of sprint. Or at least we were very much out of sprint, so it's not a case anymore, so that's all in all a good thing. And what we can actually do right now is just drop a medkit over here, which no doubt will not be used because we actually need all of those tools that Cyber is currently carrying to get all the way over there and get inside. So unfortunately, we're just gonna, well, steal the medkit back over here and then, well, just not actually have Cyber take it, which is perfectly fine by us, and we'll almost miss horrendously on that one unit, which is probably a great reminder to just back off right now because we really do not need to be there. And at some point, we should consider just moving through here because this is very much breached now. And for a second, I thought for some reason that was just a normal unit, which they will be coming in groups of 4, and that was most definitely not the case, so... well, that's not really what I signed up for, so we're just going to grab the ammunition. We'll go over here. We'll clear both of them over there. And now we're gonna have a lot more generous supply. We're gonna have a very generous supply of medkits, which I really shouldn't complain about, because that's genuinely great. So we're gonna work with that. We're gonna go over here and grow this open. And hopefully we won't have to deal with any gods, because that's not really what we want, or for that matter actually units, since they're not really gods. If they were gods, that would be much less of a problem, and that would generally be much better when... especially for the Aegis units, because they would no longer be units, and they would just be... well, a god with a saw blade, which isn't really exactly out of this world, but for the most part, it should not really be all that common. So we're just gonna go through here now. We're gonna go over here and, well, hide at you. That we should do just fine, because they are CBRCs, which, although it can be very, very problematic, are for the most part still CBRCs and don't really shoot all that fast. For the most part, so as long as we take care of things relatively quickly, even if they get one bullet off, it's not a shotgun, so it isn't all that bad, it's just still not all that great. Which doesn't really say much about how it's all that good, since there's still CBRCs and very, very much terrifying from either over there, right over here, or all the way over there. And I'm still expecting one more, since that's only 3, and we really ought to have 4 units in a squad, so now that that's sorted, we could go over here and just awkwardly wait over here. Which, if those units could be promptly taken care of, that would be quite nice, but we're just gonna go over here, we're gonna quickly back off, and then we're gonna heal up twice, because, well, I'm kind of expecting a second Aegis unit to follow along. Unsurprisingly. And in exchange, instead of, well, spending 2 medkits, or for that matter 3 medkits, since we're doing it a bit prematurely, we have got 4 medkits to our name now, so a net total of 1 medkit. Whilst once again healing very, 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 well, much in advance, so overall not all that bad of a thing. And I mean, in addition to that, we basically have what is essentially 400 bullets, so that's always nice. I mean, it's slightly less than a technically, but then again, it's still an awful lot of ammunition that we could very, very much use, even though it doesn't really serve all that much utility, so for now, we'll just slowly advance through here, go all the way over here, and then awkwardly stare into the pile of 3 mechas over there, which I must say is certainly quite the sight. And as we wait over here for Cyber to presumably be a bit more prepared right now, which we're still gonna wait for, before we inevitably decide to, well, either have Cyber go over there, which does not seem to be the case, so sure, we'll just go over here instead. And then afterwards, we'll just go over here, since, well, Cyber's presumably washing over there. And then we'll wait for the Onyx unit to show up, and then, well, we've got 6 mechas to our name, and a lot of bullets that we did not grab any extras of, which is still very, very much enough. So we'll just spend it. And frankly, whenever we feel like it, we could just use a thumper over there, which is gonna miss horrendously, but it's not like it really matters. And then we're just gonna wait over here. And that's the daily challenge done in just under 8 minutes. We really do have a lot of mechas to our name here, or at least at the very end of this, so we very much went out of this with a lot more mechas than we started. But regardless, cheers everyone, have a great time!